Okay, so we'll start our debate. The questions on the board: should all drugs be legalized? I'll invite person 1 and 2 to start from this team. Okay, you ready? Mm-hmm.
Our group is for drugs legalization. We think that we should legalize drugs because I don't think that drugs are like a crime, but it's only a health issue, and the government doesn't have to worry about it. Because if we legalize drugs, the crimes will go down because many people will think that it's easy to get drugs, why I don't get drugs later, and then if you legalize drugs, the black market will be closed, and the government will get, or the government will get money from drugs, and every year government spent over $15 billion to close the drugs, and if you close them, government will get all those money.
Okay, thank you, Victor. Person 2.
Okay, so there's a really big problem that is legalizing drugs or not, and I think that the prohibition of drugs has made them more problems than drugs themselves. The prohibition of drugs has made them more valuable and at the same time more wanted and more pricey. That is making the drugs value a lot more, and the government is giving away a really big company that is the drug selling. Not legalizing drugs has made them more important, and the people that sell them has more money every time, and that's why people still want to sell them. That the prohibition of drugs is not gonna make people stop doing it. Actually, the other way around. Psychologically, all humans, when they can have something, they want it even more. The government is losing a lot of money because they are not charging any taxes on drug selling, and that's why I believe that drugs should not be prohibited.
Okay, thanks. Okay, persons 1 and 2, this will be Bandar. Do you want to raise your
Just one.
Our group is against drug legalization. It should be stopped and removed from the community for the sake of everybody. And for people who say that they support drug legalization, I would like to ask you a question. How would you like it if you saw your kids smoking pot or doing cocaine? To stop this problem, we have to change ourselves first. As Allah says in the Holy Book, the Quran, verse 13:11, indeed Allah will not change the condition of the people until they change what is in themselves. Thank you.
Wait, that was
First question.
number 2.
Yes. So me and my group we believe that drugs should be legalized because, in our opinion, drugs are not good for us, and their name already say drugs are drugs because they make bad things for us. Drugs may cause deaths and huge health problems, and you said that the government is losing a lot of money because they are not using the drug industry, but they're always trying to stop the tobacco production because they cause really health problems. Drug I think is better. Drug I think is worse because once you start with drugs, you can start with marijuana, that is a gateway drug, but then marijuana is not that thing, is not giving you the sensation that you pass for cocaine, then after cocaine, heroin, and it's like you enter, you can't go back. It's like a suicide in a long time. Drugs may increase the accident, and drugs can affect your behavior. So if you're high of drugs, you can take your car and kill someone. You don't know because you're out of your own mind, your own thinking. So it's a danger for a normal society to have people using drugs all the time. Because if you legalize it, your child walking in the street, they're going to see a guy doing heroin, the other one sniffing. Because it's going to be normal. Like you see people drinking beer in the street, don't you? People smoking. You see people smoking crack or everything. So drugs are not like a good thing for us to see and to live with. Drugs create addicted, and more drugs. If you legalize, more addicted will have like tobacco. We have a lot of people that are addicted to tobacco, smoke every day. You're going to see people using drugs every day, and more because more than tobacco, drugs make addicted. And the last one is that drugs banalize the image of the country. What do you think when people say to you that is going to Amsterdam? Is going to a paradise of drugs, you will live all day and stay like chilling. Do you like to your country this country to become a drug paradise where everybody can go and smoke weed and stay there like chilling? No, so this is why me and my group we believe that drugs should not be legalized.
Thanks, Pedro. Okay, I'll open it up to question and answer. So after each parts 1 and 2, and then 3 and 4, and 5 and 6, as last time, you have a chance to ask each other a question and answer. So the only rule here is that you need to ask a question to let the other team respond. So I'll start with this team. You guys can ask questions. You can direct them at the whole team or an individual or something that was said, and let them respond. So you've got about a minute or a minute and a half to do that. So go ahead. Everyone should participate in some way in this part, either asking a question or responding to a question.
Don't you think it's more important that we stop the drug war that is killing a lot of innocent people and let the people choose themselves if they want to be a part of drugs or not?
Like, I agree with this, that people can choose whatever they want, but if the choice of the people put me in danger, I don't think so. Because if the people start using drugs, we can do everything because it's high. So I don't think so.
Don't you think it's better to commit suicide in long term than if like you are dying because it's not your fault?
We don't know.
But it's not going to be my fault also if the guys who started high drugs and kill me. It's not my fault.
Well, so you're not gonna be able to drive. Like the alcohol, you cannot drive if you drink alcohol.
Yeah, but a lot of people still drive. And more than alcohol, people with drugs get out of their mind faster than alcohol. So to take a car and do some bad things faster than alcohol.
But you can look at the percentages of people who have died in the drug war, and you can look at the numbers of the people who have died of car crash, and it's way different.
And also, the chances of people dying in a war are higher than people dying because someone was under the drug influence and they killed someone. So wouldn't you want to stop the drug war, which has higher chances and more of people dying and more people will die? Wouldn't you want to stop that? Then, like, it makes more sense to stopping people taking drugs and then like, oh, maybe he can kill someone. Like that's just a chance. But in a war, it's 100% given that people will die.
Can I ask you a question? How many people you see dying by drug war here in Switzerland?
You're talking about here in Switzerland, but we have a whole world. You
I'm
know,
talking
Mexico, you're gonna see like
here in Switzerland.
In
Like,
Mexico,
a lot of
over
drugs.
60,000 people.
People are going to use more drugs here in Switzerland.
I'm not talking about here in Switzerland, but we're talking about bigger world.
If it's legal, people drink a lot in Switzerland because
I'm
it's
not
legal.
talking about Switzerland.
Can I give a chance to this team to ask questions to that team? I'll give you another minute and a half.
So would you like to Mexico become like a drug paradise?
No, let me ask you a question. Okay, let's say it's legalized, okay, and you think about the the drug war and everything that's gonna spend less money, are you more worried about like the whole thing, or if you have a daughter or a son and they do something, they're using drugs, how do you feel about that? Even though you try to educate them like them perfectly, sometimes it doesn't work, you know. And with drugs being legalized, they're gonna have the chance to experiment with drugs faster, earlier, and the chance of being becoming addicted, is gonna be much higher, you know.
Drugs now, like everyone has limited.
Yeah, but even more if you legalize, even more.
Actually, it's not even more because you go to a party and everyone can give you a drug.
I would say
So it's
something.
kind of the same. The only difference is that they are not gonna be selling at that price, and there are not gonna be the problems with the drug war.
No, and it will be more control. Think about it. If you legalize drugs, giving to your body, because they will tell you like this certain amount. You know how many persons have died of overdose because they changed the percentage. Like they take 3% of diluted heroin, and then the second time they take 5% diluted of heroin. So they died because of it, because you're almost doubling the percentage of the pure substance itself.
Yeah, but legalizing won't change
But
that. You're
legalizing,
gonna be addicted and you're gonna take more and more and more.
No.
Legalizing
Because they
will
will
change
give
it.
you the exact
For
percent.
hard drugs,
If I can go to a shop to buy an apple, I can go to a shop to buy a crack.
it won't.
You said that to a person entering a club and ask for cocaine, it's easy, but the person needs to enter. Do you think that a 12-year-old boy can go and enter? But a 12-year-old boy can ask a youth that is 18 to go to the shop and buy it because it's
There. Let's move on to person 3 and 4. There'll be another question and answer session after 3 and 4, okay? So can I invite person 3 and then 4 on this team? What's that answer?
What person was that? 6.
Okay, so I will tell you a story that it's it's a personal story, and well, that is the heart of the cartels and the drug war. And before 2006, no one messed with civilians. There has always been a war between these cartels, and still there has been a lot of crime in Sinaloa since the drug grow and industrialize. Actually, all my family has this fear of going out and being killed, because in the news the only thing you see is, 60 bodies were found in the narco pit. 2 bodies were mutilated, found under the bridge, hanging, or headings like this, you know. So actually, my uncle was a lawyer, a really good lawyer who worked for the government, and a narco came. He had an encounter with a narco, and he came and asked for his help to fake some legal documents about a property, or I don't remember it well. And after he refused to help them, and they threatened him, and they will tell him they will give him a lot of money, and they will not kill their family and him. And after a few days, he refused to help them. He was found. Well, they started researching and everything, and there was this crematory that was supposed to be closed, and then they found like many bodies there. That actually the crematory was part of the narco traffic mafia, and my uncle was found there with other mutilated bodies. So I've seen myself how the drug war has affected to all the persons properly, you know, and we legalize drugs, we will avoid the black market. If you see, there's not like there's a black market of tobacco, but there's not a tobacco war, you know. So it would be much better because you will take most of the business of narco traffic and will give it to control agriculture to the government so they can control it with the agriculture and we the age, like the maximum age that would be like 21 or so ever.
Okay.
So, can I say just something?
You have to wait till the question answer. Okay. Person 4. Let's move on. Are you reading for Peter? Are you taking Peter's?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like I said, if you legalize the drugs, government will save a lot of money. And all the money will go to government, not only to government. US spent $15 billion to stop drug war, and I think it's like a lot. 570,000 died from drugs, and 2,500,000 died from alcohol. Why don't we legalize the drugs if we legalize the alcohol? Like 2,500,000 is a lot. Then 1,300,000 died from the and why we drive cars and we don't legalize drugs. In Portugal, they legalized drugs and crimes and deaths went down. And we can try it everywhere and maybe it will work.
Okay. Let's move on. Person 3 on the other team.
Huh?
Person 3.
Banda.
Banda. Okay.
Maybe I have some.
Person 3. Okay. I'm going to tell you a story. It's a tragic story. It's about a guy called John. John was a good guy. He went to school, finished his education, met his high school sweetheart. They got married. They had a family, and he had a good job. This story was in Ashland, Oregon, which is in the western United States. And John, of course, is one individual, but he represents many individuals who are victims of drug addiction. He had a friend he met in high school who was a drug dealer. He cooked methamphetamine, which is another addictive drug. He started taking it in high school, and when he was a little bit older, he had some marital problems, as sometimes couples have, and he started getting back into drugs. He became addicted to methamphetamine. He started stealing from his family. He spent all their money, sold the family house and car to feed his addiction, and his family ended up homeless and sleeping in their car. And when the winter came, one of his children died from exposure, hypothermia from being out in the cold. Of course, that's an extreme example, but that goes to show you that if we legalize drugs, these kind of extreme cases will become more common because drugs will be more available and drug addiction will go up.
Can I take my computer here because the site name of the site that I took the data is here.
Okay.
I forgot to write it, just to see. Okay. So I'm here to present data about the operation of legalizing, and according to the site drug abuse, about 2,000 to 20,000 people die a year just because of use of drugs by overdose. People that are already addicted, they die because they use too much drug with this drugs. don't know what, about 9.9 million in aging from 12 to older driving under influence of drugs. Illicit drugs, not normal drugs such as the drugs that you can buy in drugstore. And about 18% of all fatality tested, which means it has a death, including the accident, are caused by people under influence of illicit drugs. So, looking to this data, you can see that people under influence of drugs are dangerous for our society because they can do wherever they want. We already have tobacco and alcohol to take care that they cause a lot of accidents and we know it. But the difference between one another that once you put a drug inside you, you're already out of your mind because you're already really high. And if you drink only a beer or 2 beers, you can go and drive. You're not drunk. You are normal. And a lot of people say that marijuana is an easy drug. There's no problem to legalize it because you smoke a cigarette from marijuana is the same as you smoke a normal cigarette. And there's data concluding that 1 cigarette from marijuana is worse than a cigarette of tobacco because tobacco has a lot of chemicals in it, but has a filter. Marijuana doesn't have, so it goes there a lot of cancer insufficiency. The THC, that is the chemical thing inside marijuana, goes direct to your brain and kills some of the cells inside. So you're going to lose your abilities in the future. You're going to lose your abilities in the future. And a lot of people that drink continue having it continues working in the same way, it continues having the same thing in the world. People that smoke a lot of marijuana will in the time they lose the ability to work like a normal person. They became lazier in the work. And also marijuana, you legalizing the marijuana, you put people closer to the other drugs. If you legalize just marijuana is the gateway. So you start, people are getting closer, and in the end, they are in the other drugs. So this is why I don't think drugs should be legalized. Thank you.
Thanks, Pedro. Okay, question and answers. We'll start with this team. We've got about a minute and a half. Okay.
You said about if you take cocaine and you can beers you can, but what if you change the beers to 1 bottle of vodka?
But you have the difference.
No,
you have 2 beers for 1 bottle of vodka. If you take cocaine, you don't have the difference. You took cocaine, you are so you can do like you can put like a middle term in the drink between two beers and 1 bottle of vodka. Cocaine you can't. You did cocaine.
Yeah, but
you're driving high as cocaine. The beers, you're not drunk.
No, the level of addiction in alcohol, you can research anywhere you want. The level of addiction in cocaine is a lot higher than compared to alcohol. So
yeah,
it's logical. You can like put like a quantity of alcohol for you, and sometimes you do cocaine and you can stop.
Like in alcohol, you can take and drink 1 beer, 2 beer, or you can take just 1. You can stop after 1. Cocaine you did once, you can go back.
no, but
Because no, I'm just saying like comparing you're using cocaine here and you drink 2 beers here. What do you think is worse? You know that your father drinks, or if you,
no, why is 2 beers not 1 bottle of vodka?
I know, like I can't drink because the fact if I drink 1 bottle of vodka to 2 beers, I can measure like I can put in the middle like 2 beers, 1 bottle of vodka. One sniff cocaine, I can measure the cocaine.
But you should have like 5
Also,
times.
some
Like,
people
I'm
don't
gonna tell
like
you
vodka.
something.
This is what I'm saying.
Some
Yeah,
people
but
don't
the
like
One
same
vodka.
way.
sniff cocaine, you're already in the top of the.
Shut up, boy.
Oh.
Hey, be polite.
Yeah.
Let's let Aitan, Pedro, and Sarah ask questions.
Some people don't like vodka also.
Okay, I'll give you another minute, team. This team, you can ask questions. Okay.
Okay, the same way, okay, that cocaine, you can drive without it, you can drive without a bottle of vodka. So there are gonna be like, there are gonna be limits that you're not gonna be able to use. And obviously, you're not gonna be able to drive if you are drugged.
You have limits to alcohol also when people don't respect. And the people with the higher.
You don't have to do it, okay?
People with a higher amount of alcohol and a higher amount of cocaine, I think cocaine is worse. This is why alcohol is legal and drugs
Even if
are.
you're own,
No,
it's for your own health.
Then,
Like, don't try to tell me something. Like,
Yeah.
I know you're totally against it, so just stop it. You know.
no, then why a lot of people die from alcohol, like more than from drugs? Why?
Because they're not legal.
Because drugs
And
are
the
legal.
chance
Imagine
to
if
get
you legalize
alcohol is way higher.
Think about
to
the
get
situation
Yeah,
if drugs are legal. If people are openly
Yeah, well,
flaunting
think
coke
of-
injecting
Guys,
them.
I
Think
know
about
drugs are
Portugal.
bad, but every person that is gonna be bad for themselves, they're gonna be choosing it.
Don't you think it should be a personal choice? We should choose we want to do drugs or we don't want to do drugs. The government shouldn't choose for us. It should be a personal choice. We should choose for ourselves.
Yeah, but people make decisions, right? And if you tried even once, then you're not in control and you're gone forever because it's physically addictive. If you try coke once, you try heroin once.
Well, that's your decision.
Yeah, it should be my decision, right?
Yeah,
Like the way alcohol is every person's decision. Like if you go to a party, then you say, okay, I want to
Yeah.
drink or I don't want to drink. It should be like your own decision.
Yeah, but
Yeah, it's your decision.
But why do you
But
think?
if you pass in a place and one people is drinking a beer, you don't get afraid because one beer doesn't do nothing for you. But if a people is smoking crack in front of you, he can get crazy and kill you. Because one beer and one rock of crack is different. You get
I've seen people dying in the streets because of alcohol. I've seen people in this school dying in front of a room because of alcohol. So don't tell me that alcohol won't do it.
Not bad.
yeah.
But
it
you
will,
guys,
but
if you're
it's not
talking
going
about
to kill you.
personal choice,
the guy high,
most
the guy
people-
drunk is not going to hit you in the face because
Why?
of one beer.
Okay, I think Alonso wants to say something. Okay, and then Sarah.
Why do you think
Listen.
the prohibition is the best solution if it's a health and educational issue rather than a criminal one?
Because the prohibition is already a no. So you're born and you're taught from your mother and your father and whoever at school that drugs are prohibited. It's like drugs and then there's a circle and there's like a thing like this. If they make it legal, they're not gonna teach you that. Like they're gonna be like, don't drink, don't do that. I swear to God, when I was a kid, I was like, oh, I'm never gonna drink and everything. And now we I drink, but drugs, I don't take drugs. Drugs are illegal, you know.
But
Okay, I think Sarah. Sarah,
even
you
if it's prohibited, people still do it. Why? Because if you want something, you will do it even if there's a limit there, if there's a barrier.
But it's harder to
You
try.
guys,
okay.
You answer
Wait,
my
wait,
question.
let's let Sarah answer, and then we have to move on. Okay, go ahead, Sarah.
You guys, you can't talk about personal choice because most of the adults who are now chain smokers addicted to cigarettes, they are the ones who say that they started when they were teenagers and they were kids, 13, 14, 15, and now they regret it. But they can't quit, and that's just a cigarette and it's legal. Now imagine if we legalize drugs. Teenagers, like whatever they want to experiment, they'll try it and then they can't, then it's over for them, that's it. Like if they get addicted to cigarettes, can you imagine like drugs which has like most of them have like instant addiction factors and it's physically addictive. You can't say that it's a personal choice because most try it. And so
Okay, I want to move on. We'll have another question answer session, but let's move on to persons 5 and 6. Okay,
So will we go first?
are you 5?
Yeah.
Okay. Some nice ideas. Thank you for.
Okay, so me and my team, we believe that drugs should be legalized because first of all, if you look at the statistics in Portugal where drugs were legalized, the statistics say that all drug-related diseases like HIV they've gone down, and so have deaths because of drug overdose. That's gone down too. Also, the drug war in Mexico, over 60,000 people have died. 60,000 innocent people who have nothing got to do with drugs, who probably don't even take drugs. They've all died, and I think this is the most irrational thing that has ever happened. That innocent people have been killed in a war. If drugs were legal, this wouldn't have happened, and these innocent people will not die. Also, just the way drug wars will be stopped, other crimes like the black market, drug trafficking, this will also be drugs. A lot of problems will be solved, and by looking at Portugal, we can see that it has helped them. We can't just turn around and say that, oh, if you legalize them, then people will die because of overdose. Because the statistics speak, and you should go by the facts.
Thanks for that. Sorry, Neha, sorry. I'll probably make that mistake.
Wait, are you fighting for what?
It's my turn, right? 6. Legalizing drugs will stop the drug wars, and that's the main reason why we believe that they should be legalized. People don't want to legalize them because they think that if they were legalized, people would die because of them. But it's the other way around. People are dying because of the drug war. The only difference is that people are going to, if drugs are legalized, people are going to die if they chose to be part of them, and not innocent people doing anything with it. Alcohol is, they think is nothing, but actually it is. It's a chemical liquid that is changing your acts, and it affects the way you think and the way you talk and the way you do stuff. Everyone now, because of the years we have been using alcohol, knows how to control them. Well, and we teach them how to control them. There is a man that said a quote that is actually, I think, is right. That says the legalization of marijuana is not a dangerous experiment. The prohibition is an experiment, and it has failed dramatically. It is Sebastian Maricola. So he's saying like we have to try another thing. If we saw that prohibiting drugs is not working, we should try the other way around and see what happens. Thank you.
Did you? Okay, persons 5 and 6. Okay, done.
Our group drugs alter human behavior, and for that we think it should keep as being illegal. The name itself already says drugs are drugs. It's not a good thing for you. And let's say your country, Mexico or Russia, they legalize drugs, okay? And they have that serious image of like internationally that they can deal. When they legalize the drugs in the country is gonna change their image to a country where people will go to drug themselves to like run out of problems, and that would that's not a good thing for the country, you know. And also it can affect the economy of your country, where people who get high would be under the influence of different drugs, and they're gonna come to work, like let's say to your company, and you're gonna be like, okay, your coworker comes, he's high or crack or something, and he sits down, he can't even walk, he can't even work properly, and you're gonna be pissed. You're gonna throw him out of your company. So unemployment might start from the legalization of drugs.
Thanks, Aitan. Okay, person 6. So you again.
Okay. Yeah, as you said, in Portugal, it actually worked. It's still working, but I don't know the future. You know, if it changes, if a new drug is created and change the whole page, you know. But it's all a matter of education on how the country it's run and how the people are educated, how the schools deal with it, And if you legalize drugs in Brazil or in other Latin American countries, I bet, like, we don't have a concrete idealization, but I'm sure that it won't work. It won't work like it's working in Portugal, in Europe, because they're and even in poor countries, like some countries in Africa, they don't even have drug wars. The drugs are all illegal, but they're always there, you know. And if they legalize drugs, they will need more more money spent on security and surveillance, which they don't actually, like some countries don't have it. So they're gonna prefer to keep it as it is, so that they don't spend money on it. Also, there is like the most like the best argument that I have is about your son. If you have if you legalize drugs, the higher chance of your son getting into this world is way higher, you know. So I bet you guys that you will not want your son to be doing drugs. Also, I have an example of China in the Opium Wars. When British was taking over China, they took like Chinese workers, and China had like opium plants, and they took it from China, and they gave the Chinese workers the drug. All of them became addicted, and they couldn't like fight back for their economy to grow. They couldn't do anything about it.
Thanks, John. Okay, guys, let's do question and answer. I think what we'll do okay, go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you say that how would you feel if you see your son doing drugs or whatever? But what's the guarantee that if drugs are legalized, you're saying that if drugs are legalized, then my son will go and do drugs. But if drugs are, that doesn't mean that my son won't do it, right?
Yeah, but there's a higher chance of him doing it. But you see like 12-year-olds, 13-year-olds smoking everywhere and drinking. If you legalize drugs, they're gonna be doing crack, cocaine, every drug.
Okay. So you're saying if
because kids want to try new things. When you were a kid, I don't know you, but for sure me, when I was like 12, my dream was to drink a beer. I want to know how was drinking a beer, how was to get drunk.
Yeah, I know. Okay, so you're saying, okay, so imagine today drugs are legalized. Are you saying that you're gonna go to the supermarket, buy cocaine and sit and snort it in the cafeteria? Will you do that? Because you won't. Because you know that I'll get caught, I'll get expelled, my parents will.
But
You just got expelled from the school because it's illegal. Because it was legal.
Well, actually,
No, actually, no. Listen, alcohol is legal. Alcohol is legal. Do you drink it in the cafeteria? No, you don't. Go to school at night. What's
But if you can travel and do it.
I got caught in the breathalyzer. I'm not expelled, and I drink. So, and this happening in the drug
Okay,
test.
I'm not
okay,
arguing.
tell me one more time and see what happens.
Yeah.
Off campus.
Off
not
campus.
expelled.
Well, it's gonna
Okay, so you're arguing on the punishment.
Try to
We're
get
not
on the
arguing on the
drug test.
punishment.
Fine.
Try to get
You're
on the
saying if being sold in the supermarket,
Yes,
okay,
yes.
you go to school and you come back to school and you buy cocaine or whatever. But that's happening with cigarettes already. People are coming back from school buying cigarettes, whatever, they're smoking. So it will happen. It will happen. If it's happening with cigarettes, it will happen with coke.
Let me ask you a question.
And if it happens
It's
once,
not a
it
question,
happens
but
forever.
I'm going to say, in Brazil we have a huge drug war, and there's a lot of people dying. But all the people that died in the drug war, 90.8% are involved, and the other innocent people, they die because people high of drugs kill them in the streets to steal something because they're high of drugs. This is the most common thing in Brazil. People smoke crack, go on the streets to steal things. They're really high. They ask you, give me a right, and shoot high. People that die in drug war are involved, are dealing. Then they met another dealer that is stronger than him, and then way kill the guy. This is because they are all involved. If the guy is not involved and he's innocent, he died because of people high. You can see in the news. I can show
If you
you
go to
like.
Mexico, there are a lot of people involved in drug war that have no idea of anything about that. And I have a thing they already said.
But
everyone has a choice, okay? I'm 18. Alcohol is legal for me, and I can smoke whatever, everything. Okay, have you ever seen me drinking one beer, one drop of alcohol, or have you ever seen me like smoking or something? Never. Everyone has a choice, and everyone can choose if they want to be part of it or not. So,
Okay,
but does
Can
that
I
mean-
interrupt? Sorry to interrupt. I hope you can carry the debate out into the hall.
What?
And I like, because you were having such a interesting discussion in the questions, I decided to let 7 and 8 carry over till tomorrow. So person 7 and 8 will start class by ending the debate with person 7 and 8, and then we'll look at our tests that we took yesterday. Thank you very much. Thank you for your arguments. I appreciate your discussion.